First question from Greg Hunter.
So Bob, just look at postseason overall. How different is what this team's going to experience postseason wise than the regular season?
Because it's one and done. You lose, you're done. You know, you can't come out and be flat. You can't. You got to bring your best game every time out. Otherwise, you're back home watching it on TV.
We'll go next to Barry Trammell.
Yeah, Bob, across college basketball this year, the coaches have sort of caught up to you and gone casual because of the pandemic. Do you expect that to continue? And why did you sort of blaze the trail for that? And why did it take a pandemic for people to follow?
Well, it's a long story. I was at Cincinnati, and you know it was every game was sold out, and it was hot as heck at Shoemaker Center. And I go in at halftime, I'm soaking wet. My suit coat is soaking wet. My pants, everything soaking wet. My athletic director at the time said, "I don't know why you guys wear suits. You should just wear a light pullover or something like that." And so I went in. I couldn't wear the suit I had on anyway. I didn't bring another one, so I put this pullover on, and I thought, well, this is really what coaches do. I mean, I'm not a banker. I'm not a financial analyst. Why can't I wear what I want to wear? So I have worn it ever since. And it just didn't, it just didn't catch on with the pandemic. I mean, there were a lot of guys. Greg Campy started wearing one shortly after. Izzo wore one shortly after. So, I mean, it hasn't been, it wasn't like that the pandemic caused it. I think it was just coaches saying, you know, we're coaches. We're not businessmen. We're coaches.
So you expect you expect your peers to sort of stay with the new trend?
Quite frankly, I don't care. You know, that's up to them. You know, I know I'm comfortable, and they need to be comfortable in whatever they feel comfortable in.
Thanks, Bob.
We'll go next to Michael Sussman.
Coach, you've been a part of plenty of deep runs in conference tournaments, going to this Big 12 championship multiple times. Obviously, the 2010 team comes to mind as far as all-time great conference tournament performances. What does it take from your experience to sustain a high level of play in March and position yourself to make a run in this thing?
Well, I think it helps, you know, if you win the games you're supposed to win and you get a higher seed, you're not going to play as hard a game the first day out. You're going to play a team towards the bottom of the league. It hasn't had a lot of success in the league, so I think that helps considerably. That's why you see the 1 and 2 seeds advance through tournaments more than you advance through it, is because they don't have as hard a road to go. And that's what I tried to explain to our guys before our last game, and obviously it fell on deaf ears. But I mean, I think that's the biggest thing. It's and maybe playing against people that are good for you to play against, people that you defend pretty well, or people that you can score on.
Coach, a question from Bob Hertzel. How do you get a team to take that one big step up come tournament time?
I don't know. I've done this for, however many years, and I honestly don't know. It's, it's different with all different teams. We tried a lot of things to try to get, we could see that this team was starting to drag a little bit and didn't have a lot of bounce. And contrary to what happened a year ago, we were all excited because we had all kind of bounce, and practices were terrific. And then it got canceled. and I think most people around the program thought that they would understand that, this can go away real quick. And obviously they didn't.
Follow up from Bob, you spent all year trying to get this team to play defense the way you wanted them to, and it didn't happen. Was it possible to do it in the past few days?
We didn't practice the last few days, so obviously not. We're going to practice today, but we didn't practice the last 2 days. We looked at film yesterday.
John Antoniuk.
A couple here. Thinking back, is it unusual to start this early in the day, basically a morning game? Concerns there with that?
I don't know. You know what, John? These guys grow up playing AAU, and AAU sometimes starts at 8 a.m. Contrary to when a lot of coaches would like for it to start. But that's when I saw JC 8 o'clock in the morning, cup of coffee, my hat on, and he's out there full court pressing.
He's an 8 a.m. kind of guy, though.
He was that day.
Yeah. Another thing here, how much different were they without Cunningham and Likely, and how much different do you think they'll be with them back?
I don't know if Likely will be back. He had a cast on his hand from what I saw.
Okay.
Obviously, Gabe Cunningham's a great player. MVP in the league. He's the real deal. When you have a player like that, you have somebody to go to. But I think, the other guys played really well. Mike did a great job of getting those guys ready to play, contrary to what we did.
We'll go now to Justin Jackson.
Hey, Coach, I was hoping you might be able to clear something up here for me. With COVID rules in the postseason, if one person on the team, like if you guys get to Kansas City and one guy tests positive, would you still be able to play as a team, or would that eliminate the team? What's the rule?
My understanding, Justin, I think it kind of depends on contact tracing. They're all going to wear those, whatever they're called, those little things that tells you how close you are to people for how long a period of time. And I think it would depend on, it would depend on contact tracing, and would we have enough guys to play, I would think.
So it wouldn't necessarily be if you lose a guy, then the team gets eliminated then.
Well, I think that was initially was what it was.
Okay. All right.
But I think with the technology that we have now, I think, it may be after they do a very thorough job of contact tracing. But it depends. It depends on contact tracing and what comes out of that.
And then my follow-up is, obviously your guys have been really careful and have gone out of their way to make sacrifices to get to this point. Obviously the stakes are higher now. Do you continue to just say, hey, COVID's still out there. We don't want to lose what we've built, or, how
Justin, I've had it. I didn't know I had it, but I had it. And I've been immunized and the whole deal. And I still have to, I just got swabbed a little bit ago. This is about, if we continue to, if we win in the conference tournament and go to the NCAA, we're going to get tested every single day.
Right.
It's kind of like, it's almost become like part of your daily ritual.
Mike Casaza.
Hey, Bob, how are you?
I'm okay, Mike.
I have two for you, if you don't mind. One is just about Emmitt. I'm just curious where he stands with you now, and how much you can use a guy like him who's played and played pretty well in different March settings. And then I'll come back to the second one if you want to go.
Well, Emmitt has pretty much played as much or more than anybody on our team. I mean, and we've pretty much put him on the best player of the other team. He's a versatile guy who is long, and so he can affect people with his length. He's got pretty good feet, and he's made big shots for us. I mean, he's the one that got the deal rolling down at Texas. He's the one that kept us in it the first half against Oklahoma State.
And then secondly, you've mentioned just I don't know, kind of the fading focus for the team. And this seems like such a weird season. It's very long and it's gone a little bit longer, and they didn't get the postseason last year. Do you think the approaching postseason just kind of gets guys into the hurry up mode and let's get to something new and exciting that we didn't have last year? You know, regular season gets old, I would guess, after a while.
I don't know how to answer that. I could make something up, but I don't know how to answer that. I was dumbfounded that they weren't more ready to play against Oklahoma State than what they were.
Back to Greg.
Bob, playing the same team in back-to-back games is unusual, at least for you guys at West Virginia. I haven't found one in 30 years, or there was one 30 years ago in similar circumstance. So what good points, bad points of playing the same team, same scout, though obviously Cunningham makes it a little bit different.
Well, you know about as much about it as I do, because I can't remember coaching back-to-back games against anybody. I may have, but I don't remember it. So I don't know. Guys, if we go out the way we went out the other day, we're not going to have a whole lot of success. I mean, let's be honest. I'm standing out there watching our guys shoot the ball in warm-ups, and we didn't make any. We talk about our defense is bad. Our defense has been bad all year. We did not make any shots. And when you don't guard, you better make shots. And if you look at this team, has to be as high a scoring team as we've had here in quite a while, I would think. And but we have to score the ball to win. And look at the shooting numbers. I mean, guys they're not good. They're really good shooters. I mean, we had a guy who has just, shot the leather off of it, and he didn't hit the rim twice. And it wasn't close. He missed by 2 feet twice. I don't know how you explain that. But I think a lot of it has to do with, your mental preparation and how much you're really into it, the mental side of it. But I'd like to have answers. I'd like to be able to tell you something very intelligent, but I'd be making it up if I tried.
Cody Nesper.
Coach, you talked a lot about the lack of a shot blocker on Saturday. And I'm just kind of curious, what goes into somebody being good at blocking shots? And then what made Sagaba so good at it?
What makes them good at blocking shots is that they block shots. And Sags not only could block shots, he could control it. Sags, how many did Sags catch? He'd catch it with one hand, he'd catch it with two hands. He'd block it and retrieve it. Sometimes for emphasis, he'd throw it to half court. He could get to the ball, and he got to the ball, and I don't remember seeing very many people that had the timing that he had. He had great timing, absolutely great timing.
If there's no further questions for Coach, John, you will have the last one.
Yeah, I have two quick ones here. In your experiences, when you give teams off after they played at subpar, is it worked? Do you tell them, hey, get away, just totally, put your phones down, get off social media, get away from it? What's your message to them when you do something like that?
John, I've done a lot of things I did before. I mean, quite frankly, if we had played that bad and that uninspired when I was younger,
You run them to death.
into the ground.
Yeah. With your glasses on.
So, and they knew it, and they knew it. So,
Yeah, your Cincinnati guys used to tell me that.
well, and that's the truth.
Yeah.
That's the truth. I don't know, John, everybody well, it's a different kind of kid. Why is it a different kind of kid? What's different? I don't either you love to play or you don't love to play, either you love to win or even better, you detest losing. You detest it. It's like the old boy said, what the heck was his name? Coach Gardner brought him in here. I can't think what his name was now. He said he wants guys that play defense like a crazed gnawing rat. We don't get any rats out there. Our rats already stole the cheese. They're just, and we have guys who by and large were asked to score where they came from. And if you're a high school coach, a junior college coach, or for that matter, a high major coach, you don't generally put your best offensive player on their best offensive player because you don't want your guy in foul trouble. I had to learn to guard when I got to college because I didn't guard anybody. I had the worst guy because they needed to keep me on the floor in high school. Needed to keep me on the floor. I got guys, why don't I put Derek on a point guard? Because I need Derek. We need Derek on the floor. You got guys that you have to have on the floor. And as hard as you work on not fouling, what's a foul? I went back and looked at the tape. I don't know. I don't know what a block charge is anymore. I know what it is. I just don't know what they're going to call it. You're muted. I think they muted you, John.
All right, there you go. Last one here. You're 8-5 at home and you're 10-3 on the road. Can you explain that this year?
No, I can't. I think a lot of it is, and I think a couple of the guys said yesterday, if we were allowed to have and generally at the end of the year we have 12 to 14,000 people in there every game, and certainly gives you a lift. And our guys were talking about that the other day. That they said that the fans tend to really pick you up, and they're talking about from when they go from the practice facility to the Coliseum, people cheering, yelling their names, excited about the game. Go in the Coliseum, of course, everybody's excited in there. The noise, the atmosphere. I think probably that has something to do with it. But I don't have answers, so I guess I could make it up like some guys do, but I just I don't know. When you think you've seen about everything, you haven't.
Coach, I think that's all the questions. Appreciate your time today.
That's really good, Miss, because I'm out of answers.